Government scientists are mysteriously dying violent deaths or disappearing without a trace. What is going on? 10 or even 11 military and/or government scientists have met with violent ends or completely disappeared in a number of baffling incidents so bizarre they are stretching the bounds of reality. And even weirder, they all have a common factor other than them being government scientists. UAPs, also known as UFOs.
Retired Air Force general walked out of his New Mexico home, leaving behind his glasses and every device that could track him, and he vanished with no explanation and no trace. A seasoned hiker set out for a hike to the summit of Mount Waterman with two other experienced hikers. One of her companions saw her wave to him on the trail, and moments later, she had disappeared without a trace. Another woman in New Mexico left behind her keys, wallet, and car, walked away from her home, and vanished without a trace. Both her cell phones were found to be factory reset. A young father was killed on his doorstep in Brookline, Massachusetts. A man living in a remote area of Antelope Valley in California was shot dead on his front porch. In Ohio, a man killed his wife and a coworker before taking his own life, making sure it was captured by a surveillance camera. In Massachusetts, a man was mysteriously missing for 3 months before his remains were found in a lake. These cases all have circumstances and facts that are their own, and at first glance, none of them seem to be connected.
I mean, this is a list of unsolved mysteries that on their own are odd enough. But when taken in with the knowledge that these people are, or were, some of the brightest minds in America and that they all have had something to do with UAPs, the high strangeness of the situation becomes absurd.
Carl Gilmer, known for exoplanet research, who was shot dead on the front porch of his home this year on the 16th of February.
Carl Grillmeyer was described as a brilliant man, a man who helped us better understand our own planet and the vast universe that surrounds us.
Juan, Susie, Carl was known here on this campus for his humor and for his creativity. Those I spoke to today said this is not only a huge loss for loved ones, it's a huge loss for the entire field of science. Shock and sadness on the campus of Caltech as colleagues mourn the loss of groundbreaking astrophysicist and astronomer Carl Grillmeyer.
We are shocked. This was so unexpected. Carl was full of life.
The 67-year-old killed Sunday in the Antelope Valley spent decades devoted to understanding the galaxies, studying the Milky Way, and making groundbreaking discoveries, helping scientists better understand our planet.
He was my mentor, my companion, my buddy.
Sergio Fajardo Acosta knew Grillmeyer for 26 years and worked alongside him at Caltech's IPAC department.
He is, and I say in the present tense, Carl is irreplaceable because the ingenuity he injected into his research in astronomy is unparalleled.
According to the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, they responded early Monday morning to a shooting in the town of Llano, southeast of Palmdale. They say around the same time, reports of a carjacking eventually led them to the suspect accused of shooting Grillmeyer, who was quickly arrested and charged with murder and carjacking. Grillmeyer is now being remembered for his brilliance and generosity. Grillmeyer's work spans decades, degrees, and achievements. With specific breakthroughs in the study of stellar streams, he made numerous scientific discoveries. While at Caltech, he worked for the Spitzer Science Center, and in 2011 was awarded the NASA Exceptional Scientific Achievement Medal.
He was an inspiration.
And the suspect has been identified as 29-year-old Freddie Snyder. He's behind bars right now for carjacking and murder.
This is Freddie Snyder right here. Pretty interesting looking character, huh? I mean, he does resemble a tweaker. Now, this is through Twitter's AI, Grok, so take it with a grain of salt, obviously. But it says here, prior incident with Grillmeyer. In December 2025, around December 20th, Grillmeyer reportedly caught Snyder trespassing on his property while carrying a loaded, unregistered rifle. This led to Snyder's arrest in Palmdale on suspicion of carrying a loaded firearm in a vehicle. He was also accused of attempting to escape from the Palmdale Station Jail the next day. Snyder was released on his own recognizance on December 23rd, 2025, in order to complete a gun safety or hunter safety course. The firearm and escape charge charges were ultimately dismissed on or around February 5th, 2026, under California Penal Code 1385, often cited in interest of justice or as avoiding unnecessary prosecutions, partly due to his lack of prior criminal history at the time. He reportedly did not appear for a scheduled court date, but the case was still dropped. This timeline is insane bonkers. December 20th, Carl Grillmar calls the sheriff's department and reports a man on his property with a gun. Police arrest Freddie Schneider, who is armed with an AR-15, after he tells them he's on his way to the post office, which is the opposite direction of where he's walking, and that he's carrying the rifle for protection against wild animals. December 21st, 2025. The next day, Schneider tries to escape the lockup. He is charged with attempted escape. December 23rd, 2025. 2 days later, Schneider is released back into the streets with a $0 amount of bail. February 5th, 2026. Even though Schneider doesn't show up for court, the judge dismisses the charges after somehow confirming Schneider completed his hunter safety classes. February 16th. Freddie Schneider murders Carl Grillmar. Does this make sense to you on any level? So he was found trespassing on another man's land with a loaded rifle. He gave a nonsensical answer to the police. The police arrested him. The next day, he tries to escape, a serious enough attempt where they charged him with attempted escape. And then the next day or 2 days after that, he's released with no bond. Then he has court. Doesn't even show up for court, and the judge just dismisses these felony gun charges? This doesn't make any kind of sense.
Steven Garcia, linked to a company producing non-nuclear components for U.S. nuclear systems, who went missing on August 28, 2025. Reports say he served as a property custodian, a high-level role that reportedly granted him top security clearance and oversight of hundreds of millions of dollars worth of equipment.
Steven Garcia, I mean, he had a top security clearance at KCNSC.
Is that per a source, though? A source said that.
This
right?
is per a source.
Okay.
Yes, per a source that was close to Garcia. But look, where he worked at KCNSC, I mean, they manufacture 80% of non-nuclear components that go into building military nuclear weapons. And I mean, he oversaw tens of millions of dollars of assets, equipment, some classified, some not. I mean, we don't know what was going on in this guy's head, right? The officials had said that he may have been a danger to himself. He was seen carrying a gun. And it sounds crazy, but between Garcia and General McCaslin, I have to wonder, and again, I know this sounds crazy, but it could be an option here. I mean, is the government doing this? Are they taking out their own people because of XYZ?
Michael David Hicks, a NASA research scientist in the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, died on the 30th of July, 2023.
Daily Mail. Mystery surrounds death of ninth scientist tied to U.S. secrets as disturbing pattern grows. Another scientist with ties to America's space program has now joined the growing list of deaths and disappearances around the United States. Michael David Hicks, a research scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, passed away on July 30th, 2023 at the age of 59, but the cause of death was never made public, and no record of an autopsy being performed could be found. Hicks, who worked at JPL from 1998 to 2022, was credited with publishing over 80 scientific papers, was part of multiple teams helping NASA understand the physical properties of comets and asteroids. Specifically, Hicks was involved with the DART project, NASA's test to see if humans could deflect dangerous asteroids away from Earth. He also worked on the Deep Space One mission, which tested new spacecraft technology that flew by a comet in 2001.
And then there is one of the most closely watched cases. Retired Air Force Major General William Neil McCaslin, a former commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory, known for overseeing sensitive, high-level airspace projects, who vanished from his home in New Mexico on the 27th of February this year. His phone, his glasses, and personal devices were left behind, but this is where it gets interesting. His wallet, hiking boots, and a .38 caliber revolver were missing. Now, investigators noted he had reportedly experienced mental fog before vanishing. His name, it's important to note, had also surfaced years prior in emails released by WikiLeaks, where he was referenced in conversations about UAPs. These are unidentified anomalous phenomena.
Retired Major General William Neil McCasland, a man who spent decades at the center of America's most advanced aerospace research, walked out of his home in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and vanished. Weeks of searching with helicopters, drones, ground teams, and federal agents produced almost nothing. No confirmed sightings, no clear direction of travel, no answers. And the deeper investigators looked into the man himself, his career, his connections, what he once knew, the stranger this story became. He wasn't a desk officer. He wasn't background noise in the military's chain of command. He was a rare kind of figure, an astronautical engineer who climbed to the highest levels of classified research and stayed there for decades. He graduated from the United States Air Force Academy with a degree in astronautical engineering, then came a full scholarship to MIT for his master's, then a doctorate, then a return to some of the most sensitive programs the Air Force ran. Early in his career, he was given program leadership responsibilities typically reserved for senior officers, running highly classified development units that helped birth modern Air Force satellite reconnaissance. He spent time at Los Angeles Air Force Base, Buckley, Kirtland, Hill, moving from one sensitive assignment to the next. He controlled the Navstar GPS Joint Program Office, the governing authority for the global positioning system used by governments and civilians worldwide. And in 2009, he became something even more significant, Director of Special Programs within the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition, Technology, and Logistics. That title is important because in that role, McCasland also served as Executive Secretary for the Special Access Program Oversight Committee, the body with full visibility into every classified program the United States government ran. Not most of them, all of them. His final command before retirement was the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. For decades, that base has existed at the center of one of the most persistent and controversial rumors in modern American history.
Now, Wright-Patterson, it's important. For decades, conspiracy theorists have claimed that is where the government secretly stored debris from Roswell.
Then listen to this statement from his wife. Neil does not have any special knowledge about the
ET bodies and debris from the Roswell crash stored at Wright-Pat, though at this point, with absolutely no sign of him, maybe the best hypothesis is that aliens beamed them up to the mothership. However, no sightings of a mothership hovering above the Sandia Mountains have been reported.
Well, I'm glad you can keep your sense of humor, woman. I mean, my gosh, your husband's lost, presumably never to be found again, kind of like his co-worker.
Monica Jacinto Riza, an aerospace engineer who disappeared while hiking on the 22nd of June 2025.
A former colleague of General McCasland's who also disappeared, also under strange circumstances, last summer. Is it all a coincidence? Let's go to Alex Capriello live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Alex, what are you hearing about not one but two disappearances?
Yeah, very strange, Elizabeth. We've been spending the day digging into this missing persons case of Monica Reza. She vanished off the face of the earth about 9 months ago, last seen hiking in the Los Angeles forest with a companion. By all accounts, everything seemed normal that day. She was about 30 feet behind that person she was hiking with, smiling and waving. He turned around. Next thing you know, she was just completely gone. Rescue teams spent days looking for her, but actually never recovered her body. But what's so interesting about this story, Elizabeth, is that she is essentially connected with General McCasland right here in New Mexico. She's an aerospace engineer, and she developed a special metal that was used in rockets. It was a project that the U.S. government funded and something that was overseen by the general. And now, all within less than 1 year, both of them have essentially vanished off the face of the earth.
In June of 2025, two workers from Los Alamos, Anthony Chavez and Melissa Casillas, vanished from their homes in eerily similar circumstances. Chavez, age 79, was last seen leaving his New Mexico home on foot, leaving behind his car, wallet, phone, and keys. Casillas, age 54, was last seen on camera walking alone on a highway, also without her wallet, phone, or keys, after telling family members she would be working from home.